First Assistant District Attorney Perry Duckles. My name is Chris Chichester. I live in Rochester, New York. I have been in jail 6 times, and 6 times a prosecutor. At the Monroe County District Attorney's Office, Sandra Dorley has not talked. Not one syllable, not one sound, not one sentence. That's because I'm an innocent man. So Perry Duckles, this is a document that's going to arrive via FedEx at the District Attorney's Office. So today is Saturday, February 25th, 7:27 p.m. This was sent to the District Attorney's Office from a Proton mail account that I use because it's unlimited recipients. Christopher Chichester 57 at Proton Mail. 57 is because I'm 57 years old. And prior to moving to Monroe County 10 years ago, I had a speeding ticket in my place of employment in Albany, New York, and a speeding ticket in my place of employment in Washington, D.C. What I now know, it doesn't matter how you live your life, free from law enforcement, free from jail, never being arrested when you make a first court appearance. These corrupt judges in Monroe County, like John Pilanza Jr., Paul C. Metz from Town Court, and Alex Renzi in New York State Supreme Court, just want to smash and defend it into a million little pieces. And that's happened because of me. And that's happened because of these 3 individuals. And this has happened to me because of prosecutors in the District Attorney's Office. So Perry Duckles, inject yourself on corruption, fanaticism, and malevolence and disclose the names of my prosecutors. This is going to be on your desk at the District Attorney's Office from Federal Express. Look at my face, Perry Duckles. What are the names of my prosecutors? So this is the FedEx tracking here. I guarantee, Perry Duckles, if you had a friend or family member that was in jail one time and a prosecutor talked to court, you'd want to know the name of the psychopath that did this to your friend or family member. You're a collection of psychopaths at that District Attorney's Office. You know what the verification, the proof of that fact is? Conviction Integrity Unit. And I'm demanding information from your corrupt, sick boss, Sandra Dorley, for 18 months about what this contraption does, and she's refusing every time. So, this is FedEx. If I look ridiculous holding up these receipts, it's because you're ridiculous, because you're forcing me to do this. These are multiple individuals I'm contacting. So, this is what's going to arrive in your office, where it says identification. You're going to look at it. You're going to know right now, because I'm telling you to disclose the names of my prosecutors. You're going to look at the document that arrives in your office, and you're refusing. That's why you're corrupt. So this is who it went to. Scheduled delivery date, February 27th. Sandra Dorley, Perry Duckles. Michelle Crowley, Director of Grand Jury, Lisa Gray. So those 4 employees of the District Attorney's Office are going to get this. And this Michelle Crowley, this disgusting, sick hack and fanatic, convenes the grand jury to indict me when 1, I don't know the grand jury's convened. 2, Michael Houlihan of the Monroe County Sheriff Office perjured himself before the grand jury. And 3, Michelle Crowley wants 18 to 24 anonymous idiots to indict me because she knows 18 to 24 anonymous idiots can indict me. And 4, is there a transcript, Michelle Crowley? And you refuse to answer every single one of these questions. And when I pursue your disbarment with the Attorney Grievance Committee on East Avenue and other ways that this can be done, such as with the Appellate Division of State Supreme Court, this is what I'm going to tell the Attorney Grievance Committee of the Appellate Division of State Supreme Court. That here you are transforming me into your ham sandwich with this fanaticism because of $73,000 Michael Houlihan in Monroe County Sheriff's Office. And what am I talking about? Michelle Crowley. I don't even think you know. So the FedEx receipts here. Lisa Gray, the counsel, the District Attorney's Office. Does the prosecutor talk to court, Lisa Gray? You appear in court, Lisa Gray, in your career, and if you appear in court, there's a criminal defendant there. Do you exercise your First Amendment right to describe to the judge or the jury why the defendant's guilty? Is Trini Ross, the United States Attorney for the Western District of New York, who's at 138 Delaware Avenue in Buffalo. Alex Renzi, New York State Supreme Court. Which one of you psychopaths, District Attorney's Office, forced me into Alex Renzi, the supervising judge? Because there are 18 over there at the hackocracy at New York State Supreme Court. The prosecutor signed to my appearance before Alex Renzi did this to me. The last time when I was in New York State Supreme Court, quote, "You're finished." That's what Alex Renzi said to me. That language, "you're finished," was part of this 2 or 3 minute explanation from him to me why I was finished. That's not true. Because right now at the district attorney's office, one of you psychopaths is concocting the arrest warrant for me. The arrest warrant's going to be out there. When I leave where I live in Rochester, I'll be stalked and followed by the psychopaths at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. You'll arrest me wherever I am in public, and then you'll bring me to the corrupt judge like Alex Renz or someone else, and then I'm going to be in jail for however long you want to keep me in jail when I'm not told how long I'm going to be in jail. I won't be surprised if I'm violently attacked again by sheriff's office employees. I'm demanding a list of defendants from him. Alex Rendy sent me an envelope that I haven't opened yet, and I won't. I'm going to send this. I'm going to make a copy of it. I'm going to send this back to him. I'm going to tell Duke of New York A#1 Alex Renzi, New York State Supreme Court, that I don't give a shit about what he's saying to me. I don't know if you could hear that on my microphone. That's a siren going through where I live here, downtown Rochester, next to the transit center. There are no sirens going through Albany, New York, like the sirens in Rochester, New York. There's no sirens going through Washington, D.C., like in Rochester, New York. It's an absolute disgrace. When you see these sirens going through the city 20, 30, 40 times a day, you need to think about this is the Rochester, New York. That's a city of freaks that you work in at the district attorney's office. So this is Alex Renz. This is Julie Sianka, the Monroe County Public Defender. You will see a link that's attached to this one. That's attached in this email to Julie Sianka, where I'm telling the Monroe Public Defender that my former public defenders, Mark Phillips and Regina Harper, refused to disclose the names of my prosecutors. And that's the same. And that document there that has identification is Mark Phillips and Regina Harper. It's going to come back to me. Monroe County Public Defenders, Mark Phillips and Regina Harper, will get the envelope. That's a FedEx envelope that has this document in it that says identification. It's going to come back to me. And then I'm going to come back here to YouTube, and I'm going to say, I said this was going to happen. It is insane for a public defender to refuse to disclose the names of a prosecutor in a public proceeding. That's because Mark Phillips and Regina Harper are apparently auditioning for a job at the district attorney's office. This is Paul C. Metzer from Penford Town Court and James C. Mellon Jr. in Penford Town Court. Perry Duckles at the district attorney's office. Redirect defendants away from Paul C. Metzer and James P. Mellon Jr. This sick, disgusting little room where there isn't a jury of 12. There isn't a witness box for testimony. There isn't even a table for a public defender, defense attorney, and a prosecutor to sit at. So, those sirens are particularly loud. I think there's like 5 or 6 fire engines out there now. And Janice McNair of the Office of Public Integrity is going to come back to me. Just like the envelopes from Mark Phillips and Regina Harper, the Public Defender's Office, the envelope that I sent with that documentation from Janice McNair is going to come back to me. And this is the first time there's a new name for me. This is a new name here. It's the first time I've contacted this public employee in the United States of America. This is public employee Merrick Garland, Attorney General, U.S. Department of Justice, 950 Pennsylvania Avenue, Northwest Washington, D.C., 20530. I used to ride my bike by the Department of Justice, and I think about Watergate and occasionally, and how much power the Department of Justice has and had back then. It has even more power today. The Department of Justice is the most powerful institution in the United States of America, with more power than even the White House, as Richard Nixon discovered. And I don't know what's going to happen when I contact the Department of Justice, because I've already contacted an employee of the Department of Justice, and that's Trinity Ross in Buffalo. So this is documentation you've had. This arrived in your office. Sheriff Todd Baxter, $16,000 pay raise freak. $83,291.42 Shannon Mine. That's what brings me attention to the sheriff's office for the first time in my life, or past 50. So Perry Duckles, here you are, paid $113,918.94. Do you really need that 94 cents, Perry Duckles? Is that 94 cents in your salary, Perry Duckles, really allow you to pay the bills? These salaries are bizarre. Robin Catalano, $107,292.82. Matthew Schwartz, $106,742.73. How do you come up with cents in a salary? It's because District Attorney Sandy Droley has no sense. So this is the Freedom of Information Law, which is legally binding upon you, which is the law. And since the law is a joke to you, you're going to refuse. This is January 18th, the FOIL. Documentation for the case with Christopher Chavez for John Clemenza Jr. in Pamphlet Court. What is the name of the prosecutor? Is that Julie Hahn? Documentation for the case of Christopher Chavez for Paul C. Metzer, Pamphlet Court. What is the name of the prosecutor? This is the disgusting, sickening cretin that Regina Harper, the public defender's office, said to me, quote, the prosecutor's not backing down. This is the three-piece suit boy with vengeance at the heart. What's his name, Perry Duckles? Documentation for the case of Christopher Chavez, New York State Supreme Court, Alex Renzi. What is the name of the prosecutor? In my last appearance, there were two females behind me. I don't know if they're court employees or they're my prosecutors. What's the answer? Do I have multiple prosecutors before Alex Renzi? This is how I'm attempting to find out, one, the names of my prosecutors, two, if I have multiple prosecutors. January 18th. So Perry Duckles at $113,918.94. Tell me the names of my prosecutors. Paul C. Metzer, John P. Lorenzo Jr., Alex Renzi. So Perry Duckles, here's the original, which is in red. Psychopaths like the color red, Perry Duckles. So December 14, 2022, documentation for the case for Christopher Chavez before John P. Lorenzo Jr. in Pamphlet Court. What is the name of the prosecutor? Sandra Dorley. Is that Julie Hahn or is that not Julie Hahn? Who's not the victor? She's not even remotely close to even 40%. Because she's in there, I believe, with 23% of the vote or thereabouts. Right around the same percentage of Alex Renzi in New York State Supreme Court. When I moved back to Albany, I was asked to meet with state legislators about how judges are elected. Because it's a disgrace. Because if this has happened in Monroe County, this has happened in the other 61 counties in New York. Again, documentation for the case of Christopher Chavez from Paul C. Metzer, Pamphlet Court. What is the name of the prosecutor, Sandra Dorley? The vengeance to the heart of this boy. This boy stood there in total silence before Paul C. Metzer, and I went up to him. And I said, you're not going to talk? You're not going to say one word? And I was driven to Livingston County Jail in Geneseo, where when I arrived, I have to undergo the penis inspection. For the 50th or so time, there I am disrobing, and I have a sheriff office employees in Livingston County or a sheriff office employee in Monroe County staring at my penis. So here I have a prosecutor who's not talking in court. The prosecutor's silence before Paul C. Metzer is responsible for a Livingston County jail employee staring at my penis in Livingston County when he doesn't talk. What's his name? Perry Duckles. December 14th, the documentation for the case of Christopher Chavez, New York State Supreme Court, for Alex Renzi. What is the name of the prosecutor? Sandra Dorley. He said he'll finish it done. I'll have this as a record when two things will happen. The psychopaths at the sheriff's office will see me walking in Rochester because I go into Brighton often, pull up to me, put the handcuffs on me, they'll arrest me where I am, they'll take me to the corrupt judge. I'll be declared guilty. When you don't know, you don't have to talk to the district attorney's office, or an assistant district attorney won't be present. Or one of you psychopaths at the district attorney's office will send me documentation to where I live at my P.O. Box, 620 Park Avenue, PMB number 361, Rochester, New York, 14604. And you'll compel me and force me into a courtroom before Alex Renzi or someone else where you know you don't have to talk. It's Psychopaths Incorporated. So, what is the name of the prosecutor for Alex Renzi? December 14th. December 28th, Freedom of Information Law. The documentation for the case for Christopher Chavez and Paul C. Metzer in Pamphlet Court. What is the name of the prosecutor, Sandra Dorley? Is that Julie Hahn? Freedom of Information Law. Documentation for the case for Christopher Chavez for Paul C. Metzer in Pamphlet Court. What is the name of the prosecutor, Sandra Dorley? Quote, the prosecutor's not backing down. What's the name of this coward that exists in total silence and sends me to Livingston County Jail? Perry Duckles. December 28th, the documentation for the case for Christopher Chavez, New York State Supreme Court for Alex Renzi. What is the name of the prosecutor, Sandra Dorley? Do I have multiple prosecutors? I don't know if I'm going to use Proton Mail and have multiple recipients, or I'm going to use mail.com, which has limited recipients. But no matter what email I use, that's going to be attached to PDF. You'll be able to print it out and look at it. It's just sexual harassment at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office, Perry Duckles, as you understand the term. Because that has different definitions. And I could talk for 10 to 15 minutes about what it is. I'm not going to do that now. So.
$34,000 James P. Mully Jr. on Penfield Town Court. I go to a defunct gym in Penfield called PW Fitness. I'm on the bench press. Up walks to me Jermaine L. Benman. He motions with a right hand for me to get off the machine. I say, I'll be 30 seconds. Benman stands over me, punches down. My head snaps back violently. Benman walks away. James P. Mully Jr., who did I just harass? A witness calls the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. $79,000 Andrew Reale arrives. Reale tells me to go out to the vehicle with Benman. He tells me to sit in the backseat of his vehicle. I'm watching $79,000 Andrew Yalley talk to Jermaine Bemin. He's going to tell him 7 words to say to me. Andrew Yalley and Jermaine Bemin walk around to the side of the vehicle, and Bemin says to me, "Quote, I want to press charges against you," end quote, as I sat in the backseat of the vehicle. This is a violent attack upon me. James Miller Jr., who am I harassing? Because it can only be Jermaine Bemin, and it can only be Andrew Yalley. This is how the cops descend on innocent citizens. This is how the cops destroy lives. So James Miller Jr., I appear before John P. Lomenzo Jr., and I'll go to Monroe County Jail for harassment second, sitting in the backseat of Andrew Yalley's police vehicle. Jermaine Bemin has to appear before you, James Miller Jr. And Jessica Wagner, the district attorney's office, negotiated the deal with you, Jermaine Bemin, and Jermaine Bemin's attorney, because I received a subpoena to go to Penfield Town Court. I sit down, and then an employee, this elderly woman, comes right up to me, because you directed her to come right up to me, James Miller Jr. She says, "Are you Christian Patrice?" I said, "Yes." She said, "You can't be here." I leave. I sit in the hallway. That's when I watch Jermaine Bemin go in to appear before you with his attorney. Wait, he walks right out the door, James Miller Jr., because of a deal between you, Jessica Wagner of the district attorney's office, and Jermaine Bemin's attorney. This is a violent criminal that you release, James Miller Jr. What I just told you, I will tell the employees of the United States Department of Justice, and I will tell the Office of Governor Kathy Hochul, and I will also tell the State Commission on Judicial Conduct your facts and circumstances of what has happened to me. You believe in violence, James Miller Jr. I've said this on YouTube on a previous TikTok. James Miller Jr., why did you release Jermaine Bemin after this violent attack upon me? What are the reasons why? Because you believe in violence, that's why. Because you're corrupt, that's why. Because facts of an innocent man like me don't matter to you. What would you think if you were violently attacked and then you went to jail and the person that attacked you walked right out the door for court? James Miller Jr., you are absolutely corrupt, which is not surprising because so is John P. Lomenzo Jr. and Paul C. Metzer. You need to be removed from Penfield Town Court. I'm going to be obsessed about your removal from that disgusting 6-star chamber, James Miller Jr.
This is me being obsessed about James Miller Jr. being removed from Penfield Town Court. Doesn't matter to you what I just said, Perry Duckles. It's totally irrelevant. That I'm being violently attacked, and I'm charged with harassment second, sitting in the back seat of Andrew Yalley's Monroe County Sheriff's Office vehicle. Then the person who attacks me because of your former colleague at the district attorney's office, Jessica Wagner, Jermaine Bemin, walks right out the door. Here's an assistant district attorney in your office, Jessica Wagner, functioning as the de facto public defender for a violent criminal, Jermaine Bemin. I've not been able to find out if he has a prior criminal record. That's why I tell you this. Redirect defendants away from Penfield Town Court. Not because you care about justice, because that's ridiculous and irrelevant. Justice is something that you can't conceive of at the district attorney's office because you're corrupt at the district attorney's office. Redirect defendants away from Penfield Town Court to protect Sandra Dorley from accusations in the future that she's corrupt. She is corrupt because what she's done in the past, but you can prevent innocent citizens from being in jail when prosecutors don't talk in court. If Paul C. Metzer and James P. Miller Jr. just sit there with no defense, and you could do this. Any number of courts, you could direct citizens in Penfield, New York, which is only a town of 36,000. Send them to Rochester. Allow $28,000 bald-headed, skin-headed widow, Paul C. Metzer, to sit there by herself with no defense because then you won't have innocent citizens in jail. Allow James P. Miller Jr., who released this violent thug and criminal, Jermaine Bemin, to sit there alone with no defendants because then you won't have innocent citizens in jail. And it doesn't matter to you that there are innocent citizens in jail. Perry Duckles, what are the names of my prosecutors? 620 Park Avenue, PMB number 361, Rochester, New York, 14604. And make sure that the arrest warrant is sent to me because you won't disclose the names of my prosecutors. And then there's going to be an arrest warrant or documentation that forces me into courtroom where nobody at the district attorney's office has to talk for me to be declared guilty. So, Perry Duckles, this is the payroll for the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. And there are employees on here like Michael T. Fowler, 163, 877, 48, that make more money than Todd Baxter, Corey K. Brown, 155, 366, 64, that make more money than Todd Baxter, and that's a disgrace. So I was evicted from my residence in Penfield. I get out of Livingston County Jail. I out process in Rochester. I run back down Penfield Road since I'm a runner. The front door is locked. The sliding glass door that was broken has been fixed by my landlord, Anthony Ospano. And I went to Harris Wayland Park and I slept in the park for 3 weeks. And all my things were taken out of my residence into a storage locker. I don't know this is going on by my ex-girlfriend, Laura Riley, and everything I own is gone. Every single thing I own is gone because of District Attorney Sandra Dorley, Sheriff Todd Baxter, John P. Lomenzo Jr., Paul C. Messer, and Penfield Town Court, and Alex Renzi in New York State Supreme Court. Every single thing is gone, including my DD-214 from 2nd Squadron, 17 Cavalry, 101st Airborne Division, that I had in my 1980 Mercury Capri when I drove home from 17 Cavalry, 101st Airborne Division on April 14th, 1988 to Long Island. This is why I despise and detest your boss, Sandra Dorley, Perry Duckles. I don't have my original because of her. My mother and father from Brooklyn buying things I once had. Since I lived in Albany for 10 years, I would go to Cooperstown, and I've been a meth fan my whole life. And my former coworkers, their first names are Bob and Peter. We drove to Cooperstown once. And the whole time we're talking about things that we love in life. And we've been meth fans since we were in elementary school, 3 of us. And this trip, we talked about the 1973 World Series. I was in elementary school, and they took the Dynasty Oakland A's to the 7th game, and they almost won. And at Cooperstown, I bought a Brooklyn Dodgers hat, and I had more than 20 hats. If I talk about something, it's because of things I no longer have because of Sandra Dorley. So I remember this trip to Cooperstown when I'm talking to my friends Bob and Peter, and it's just terrific. And if you're a sports fan, you know the players on your team that you really love. I remember Doug Flynn was in New York Met for years. He wasn't even good, and I liked him. I was a fan of his. Well, I bought him a Brooklyn Dodgers hat to think about my mother and father, since they're from Brooklyn. I bought a new one. I got this online. I had more than 20 hats, Brooklyn Dodgers hats in a box where I lived at 26 Sanders Farm Drive in Penfield. Every single one I own is gone. All my Brooklyn Dodgers hats, more than 20, some of which I bought at Cooperstown, New York, the Baseball Hall of Fame, are gone because you're disgusting, sick, vile, evil boss, Sandra Dorley, Perry Duckles. Your boss is evil because your boss is responsible for innocent citizens being in jail when prosecutors don't talk in court. Your boss is evil because every single thing I own is gone because of Sandra Dorley and her prosecutor's silence, and you're going to refuse every single time to disclose the names of my prosecutor's silence. Do you see me pointing at you, Perry Duckles? What are the names of my prosecutor's silence? Came to your office. Came to your office via FedEx, Perry Duckles. Because there's a receipt right there, and there's the track. You understand me? You disgusting sick hack. Over and over and over, I'm demanding this information from you, and you're refusing. So, Perry Duckles, the hire date for you is January 10th, 2003. You've been there for 20 eternal years. Perry Duckles, when you appear in a courtroom, do you talk in court? Or do you just rely on the fiction, the fantasy, the lie of a piece of paper concocted by this bald-headed Benito Mussolini clone, Todd Baxter, and his fellow psychopaths to deliver an innocent citizen to jail? What's the answer? What are the names of my prosecutor's silence, Perry Duckles? So, I'm going to continue to write this. This is the Freedom of Information Law. This is blank. I'm going to fill this out relentlessly. Every single time you get it, I'm going to send this again to you in the next 7 days, either by FedEx, UPS, or registered mail return receipt. I'm telling you what you're going to do. This is going to come to you, Perry Duckles. And either you'll send it back to me, you won't open it. But this is on your desk and you look at it, where it says, to identify the names of my prosecutors of silence before John P. Lomenzo Jr., Paul C. Metzer, and Alex Renzi, you refuse. And that's why you're corrupt. So, the corruption Sheriff Baxter and Sandra Doyle is right here with the title. I try to strive for precision in language. One judge. This is called One Judge, February 20, 2023. One judge, the corruption of Sheriff Baxter and District Attorney Sandra Doyle. And then I have another YouTube for my public defenders, Mark Phillips and Green Harbor. The district attorney's office here, where I'm telling you to disclose the names of prosecutors, will refuse. My public defenders, Mark Phillips and Green Harbor, will refuse. And that's the same. So I'm looking at your email address right here, pduckles@monroecounty.gov, right? I'm going to tell you what doesn't matter. To Todd Thurston of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, whose email is on here. Todd Thurston. I walk to the Penfield Public Library. In walks Richard J. Seidman. He runs at me, extends his arm like this, slams his arm at the side of my head. So it's the force of Richard J. Seidman's arm hitting me in the head. I fell backwards and then my head hit the ceramic tile of the library floor. And any partner for Richard J. Seidman kicked me when I was down on the floor. It's a violent attack. And when I write the criminal complaint of Richard J. Seidman, he's not going to be arrested. It's not going to be 5 minutes in jail for him. They take me down the hallway to Penfield Town Court. Paul C. Metz was waiting. There is no assistant district attorney from the district attorney's office present. Paul C. Metzler convened Penfield Town Court for the express purpose of violently attacking me and delivering me to Livingston County Jail in Geneseo. Redirect defendants away from this room, Perry Duckles. And then you can avoid the public relations disaster of innocent citizens in jail. Have you appeared in front of her in Penfield Town Court? Have you stood in front of this bald-headed, wig-wearing widow, Paul C. Metzler? Because this is what you should think if you're ever in there in the employees of the district attorney's office. You should think, I can't believe I have to make an argument in front of this hack and fossil and widow who is absolutely corrupt to her core. That's exactly what we should be thinking. And the same thing with James Humilly Jr. So, mail an application for a copy of birth certificate. I had to fill out a mail-in copy application for my birth certificate because the district attorney, Sandra Doyle, because I have nothing. Everything is gone. I'm writing my name down here and I'm thinking about your corrupt, sick boss and me being in jail 6 times, and 6 times the prosecutor doesn't talk in court. And every single time I've used a foil, you're refusing to disclose the names of these prosecutors. Christopher Chichester, date of birth 7/4/1965, Queens, New York, Blue Memorial Hospital. Mother's name, Margaret Hennessy. Father's name, William Chichester. Social security card. And there's my address. I don't have a birth certificate because of your boss, Sandra Doyle, and her prosecutors of silence. There's the check right there. New York State Department of Health, Bureau of Vital Records and Certification. Again, the things that happen in your life. When I worked in Albany for Majority Leading Governor, my excellent friend John Signan was the official spokesman for the Department of Health. And when I'm writing this check to the Department of Health, I'm thinking about John. And I'm thinking, I will never tell him what's happening to me. And I'm thinking about that check. And John and I used to go up to Saratoga a lot. And when the meet would convene, and we talk about all our favorite races and favorite horses. And Saratoga, the great Secretariat lost at Saratoga in the Whitney Handicap. And I remember talking to John about that, and he's an encyclopedia about horse racing. And when I was writing that check to the State Department of Health to get my birth certificate, I'm thinking about my friend John and how we were up there at Saratoga because he was the spokesman at the Department of Health. Things in your life that happen to you, that descend on you, that befall you, make you think about the individuals in your life. I had to get a new birth certificate and write to State Department of Health when my excellent friend John Signan was once the official spokesman because of your disgusting, sickening, predatory boss, Sandra Doyle. He doesn't know if she's a Democrat or Republican. What are the names of my prosecutors of silence? Perry Duckles. What is wrong with you? I'm not asking that rhetorically. There's something wrong with you. Do you understand? It's a public proceeding financed by taxpayers. And these are public employees. And I will seek their disbarment, including the disbarment of attorney Sandra Doyle of Webster, New York. And that's not ludicrous because she's unleashing her bureaucrats and psychopaths that I view the same way as I view the mafia in New York City to destroy me, where they know they don't have to talk in these courts. Perry Duckles, corruption requires repetition. Who at the district attorney's office forced me into Alex Renzi? The answer is the prosecutor assigned to my appearance before Alex Renzi. in New York State Supreme Court. What's the name of the prosecutor assigned to my appearance before New York State Supreme Court Judge Alex Renzi paid $208,000? And you will refuse to answer because you're corrupt. So, there are 3,000 documents here on this couch. I think 30 times in this pile, this is not everything, I demand you disclose the names of our prosecutors. In this loft I'm in, that's the foil again. You can see that clearly. So, one judge should never determine guilt or innocence. When I go back to Albany, I'll try to find out who that is. Sheriff's office salaries here. These psychopaths are violently attacking me at the sheriff's office because they're comic thugs and criminals. $113,918.94 Perry Duckles. What are the names of my prosecutor's silence? Perry Duckles. Disclose the names of my prosecutor's silence. Christopher Chichester, 620 Park Avenue, PMB number 361, Rochester, New York 14604. You will continue to refuse to disclose the names of my prosecutor's silence, Perry Duckles, at the Marlborough County District Attorney's Office, because you're corrupt.